Hello, Jordan.
What's up, Michael?
Episode 188 of the How to Become a Personal Trainer podcast. What are you sipping on? You have 2 drinks there, at least.
I have 3. I've got coffee, right? We just got off a mentorship Q&A. It went super well.
It was a good one.
Just have some coffee. Actually, I technically only have 2. The water is gone. Just finished up this bottled water. And I've got a fresh Diet Coker.
Wow,
fresh out of the fridge, nice and crisp.
You're stacking Diet Coke with coffee?
Oh, yeah, dude. Little sweet, little bitter.
You're chasing caffeine with caffeine?
Yeah.
That's a real power play.
I went to the cardiologist yesterday. They said everything looks good. So,
caffeine up.
Why not?
Dude, congrats on Slim Jim, bro.
Oh, thank you, man. Slim Jim.
Baby number 2.
What a blessing. She's funny. She's just making all sorts of faces. Babies are funny because like their eyes, they don't have control of their eyes. Their eyes are like going all over the place and everything. And yeah, my toddler, old Abe, she's become a real menace ever since she was born. She just is not happy about not having all of the attention. So she's become a real menace lately. But
that makes sense.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you, man. Thank you very much.
Where I think people want to know, like, you know, names are Abe for like a girl born in 2022 and then Jim for a girl born in 2024. Where do you and your wife come up with these names, just out of curiosity? So
Abe is because she's named after my great-grandfather, Abraham.
Okay. Makes sense. I like that.
What happened is we named her after my great-grandfather, Abraham, who escaped Russia when he was 12. So do you know this story?
I think so, yes, but keep going.
Yeah, so Tsar Nicholas II was putting Jewish boys in the front lines of the army at 12 years old to try and kill them off. Jews were not considered citizens of Russia. They could only live in certain places, hold certain jobs. And Tsar Nicholas was like, all right, we're just going to like put them in the front lines, using them as like cannon fodder. So when my great-grandfather Abraham turned 12, his family was like, you've got to leave. And so he only knew Russian. He didn't know any English. He didn't know anything. And he somehow escaped Russia, made it to the United States, and built a life for himself. And like he would never tell our family where in Russia he was from. He always thought there were spies and they were going to come find him and bring him back. He never was able to communicate with his family again, so they don't know what happened to him. He doesn't know what happened to them.
So I have to stop you because I thought I was making a joke because those aren't actually your daughter's names, Abe and Jim. But now I feel like you just told me a story that's real, and I can't tell if you're running with the joke or if that all is real.
This is 100% a real story.
Wow. Dude, I did not know this.
Oh, really? Yeah. This is a real story. Yeah. So
wow.
We named her after him, and then I told the story on social media, and a number of people were like, wait, you named your daughter Abraham? And I was like, no, I didn't name her Abraham. I named her after Abraham. So like it's a different name, but that's who she's named after. So after that happened, I decided to start calling her Old Abe because there were people who thought that I actually named her Abraham.
Bro, now I'm very confused because I don't understand how me knowing her actual name.
So it's the
Okay. We can cut that out too. We can bleep that out.
Okay, we'll bleep that out. And then my second daughter is named after my wife's great uncle Jimmy. And Jimmy is a war hero who fought in World War II. He fought in the Battle of the Bulge, which is one of the most famous battles of the entire World War II. It was Hitler's last-ditch effort to try and get the momentum back. And it's called Battle of the Bulge because he sent hundreds of thousands of his military to try and break through the Allies' lines in the Ardennes on the Western Front. And he created a huge bulge in their line. And it looked like he was actually going to potentially be able to win. And then the Allies overtook him. And that's really when Germany lost the war at the end of Battle of the Bulge. Obviously, it wasn't when they actually ended, but that was the last final attempt that Hitler could make. And Jimmy led a number of counterattacks, and he saved a bunch of soldiers, and he was eventually killed a couple of days before the battle ended. But when I went to my wife's grandparents' house in Atlanta a year or so ago, her grandfather showed me what the United States military sent his family, basically outlining all of the attacks he orchestrated, the counterattacks, what he did, how he planned them. And it was just so cool to read what the military had given his family, showing him what a war hero he was. So we named our second daughter after him, and his name was Jimmy. So then I was like, all right, well, what's a good name for Jimmy? Slim Jim. And that's how we got to...
Man, that joke went awry. I just thought I was making a joke, and I walked into a history lesson.
You're like, motherfucker.
Like, what happened there? I don't even know how this podcast just started. Wow. All right.
You're like, this is so not how I anticipated the beginning of this podcasting.
At all. Not even remotely. Well, amazing. I'm very happy for you guys. How's everything else? Get us back on track.
Well, amazing. How are you, bro? What's up with you?
Dude, I'm no longer training to be a mass monster. I've given up on the bulk life. It's not for me. I had an epiphany.
Oh, okay.
I had an epiphany in the gym, and the volume and intensity required to add appreciable muscle once you have a certain amount of muscle when you're not using steroids and you're actually natty. At my age and time in life, and really for anyone, I'm bringing back the aesthetics era. The natty, aesthetic, lean with a reasonable amount of muscle and feeling good era. Partly because I just want to, but also you just end up it's hard to keep a bulk dialed in terms of feeling good, in terms of not overfeeding. Like when you're overfeeding, you end up more lethargic throughout the day, like being in a surplus in general. It's hard on the joints. You know, I might be showing my age a little bit, but it's time to bring back the natty aesthetics era. So that's what we're doing.
So what does this change the most? Does it change your nutrition the most, your training the most?
It makes my training more enjoyable because it's lower volume. So each workout is shorter in duration, essentially, fewer total sets, whether I'm going to do that by reducing the number of sets per exercise or the number of exercises per workout. I haven't fully fleshed out, but one of the two. And I'm going to eat fewer calories. And so I won't be overfeed. I might be in a slight surplus on training days and a slight deficit to a moderate deficit on rest days. When you're coming out of a muscle gain phase, it's easy. Like nutrition's easy because you don't want to be eating that many calories anyway. And so that's where we're headed. So
you don't even care about adding more muscle. It's more like maintaining the muscle that you have.
Sure. And honestly, I don't I don't even care that much. I'm not doing everything to optimize. I care most about feeling good.
I like that.
Like if I were to lose 8 pounds of body fat and also lose 0 pounds of muscle versus also lose 1 pound of muscle over like a 3 to 4 month window, I'd be quite indifferent.
Yeah, no big deal either way. As long as like your shoulders feel good, your back feels good, your neck feels good,
and like strength is there, and aesthetics. Like I think I actually am starting to get turned off of. I don't want to start name dropping. I feel like a lot of, we'll call them like muscle monster type, super steroid dudes have gotten very popular over the last 1 to 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like people like this.
Okay.
Who I like both of them. And do you? But it just has become uninteresting and unappealing to me personally.
Are you going to start doing sprints?
Am I going to start doing sprints? Why do you ask that question?
I feel like I have a number of different reasons for asking. I feel like sprints are something that as we get older, we stop doing it, right? Mm-hmm. You and I have had conversations in the past in which like we've spoken about how much we've loved sprinting at different points in our lives, especially as younger athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if you're feeling really good and you're not, overfeeding and lethargic and you just feel quick on your feet, maybe you just want to do some sprints. And it might actually independently make you feel really good as well. It just might be another fun thing to add into your training once a week.
It's not at the top of my list, but I think for zone 5 cardio, I'm more likely to add some kind of striking to the regimen. But I won't rule out a good sprint. I also don't want to give you any excuses after I beat you in our 100-meter dash. Like, oh, you've been sprinting. Like, I'd rather be untrained heading into it.
Dude, that wouldn't be an excuse. You should be fully peaked and trained. There shouldn't be an issue.
No. We both need to go in our natural state, not training for it. Unless have you been doing sprints?
I hurt my back. I haven't been doing any sprints.
Do you want to talk about that?
No, not extensively. I hurt my actually striking. Just my back's just been fucked. So I started getting a PT the other day, she thinks I have a bulging disc. So yeah, I'm working to it. So no, I'm not sprinting. In fact, I'm injured and I'll still beat you on that dash.
Wow. I'm not even going to address that outrageous claim. I'm going to pretend it didn't happen. I'm going to let you get, fully back to 100% health, and then we can do the sprint. I'm not even going to address the fact that you want to do this race while you're injured. It seems like stand-up comedy to me is what you just did there.
Seems like you're just a little child. And you don't even know what you just said.
You literally don't even know what you're saying right now. So I'm going to let it go. No, that sucks though. Back injuries are not fun at all. I'm sorry, bro.
No, they're the worst. No, the worst. Other things are worse, but it sucks. But it's okay. I'm still able to train. I'm still working around it. So
it's at least there's a cause, right?
Yes.
Like when you don't know the reason for back pain and can't get rid of it, and it's chronic and extensive, lasts for long periods of time, that's really, thankfully I haven't dealt with it. But you had something that you wanted to discuss.
Dude, the food.
Yeah, good memory, man.
I only remembered it because I had one this morning and I was like, oh shit, I want to talk about this on the podcast. Mm-hmm. So you and I spoke about somewhat recently how I tried the pre-prepared meals, didn't like them from the first company. We got them again from a different company just because, my wife gave birth and like it's difficult. And like we still wanted to like eat high quality food. We didn't want to be ordering out all the time. So we ordered from a different company. I'm happy to say the name. I'm not sponsored. It's called Catered Fit, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Dude, they are so good.
Are they local or are they nationwide?
Dude, I think it's nationwide.
Let's find out. I'm putting my address in.
I mean, they're based out of Florida.
Oh, congratulations. We delivered your area. All right, Catered Fit. I'm sorry I doubted you.
Yeah, dude, they're awesome. I've been blown away at how... So I remember you said, because I was looking at like the actual like chef ones, and you're like, yeah, but those calories and the fat, the macros are just really shit. And so I sort of resigned myself to thinking that they were just all like the ones that were fitness based were going to be bad. The first one we got was like just really dry and just it wasn't good, and the portions of the vegetables wasn't good, and I don't know. And it was crazy because that was the most recommended by far. And this one, I didn't get any recommendations for this one. My wife ended up finding this one, and dude, they're moist, they're filling, they're high quality. The macros are great. They're all between 400 to 500 calories, at least the ones that we got, like 20 to 35 grams of protein, steak. And they had these I forget what it was, a certain type of like a steak, salmon, meatballs, just super good. And you can see on the website, Catered Fit. Again, I'm not sponsored. My wife was like, do you want to be sponsored by them? I was like, I mean, I would. Like, I love these meals, but I'm not sponsored, and I haven't even reached out to them. But oh my gosh, they're just fantastic. I could not recommend them enough.
What's your favorite meal from them?
buffalo chicken meatballs.
Sounds pretty legit.
Dude, they were so good.
Was there a veggie with them?
Yeah, shaved Brussels sprout salad with apple and crispy sweet potato tots.
Ooh. Give me total macros for the meal.
455 calories, 33 protein, 41 carbs, 17 fat.
Wow.
Dude, super good. Super, 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 super good.
Now that I'm not a mass monster, I'm going to, I can reduce the size of my lunches, and Catered Fit might be a good option for lunches.
My mom liked them too.
Oh, nice.
Like my mom's been here and she was having them and she was very hesitant and she was like, wow, this was actually surprisingly good. So, and that's not an easy woman to please. You know what I mean? Like that's for her to be like, wow, that's good from, a Jewish mother like that. That was all I needed. Like it's amazing. It's super, super good. Again, I would still rather a home cooked meal, but like this is a very good meal. I was blown away. I was really blown away.
I don't know how close of attention you've paid to grocery prices over the last 1 to 3 years, but like looking at this, so they have obviously the more meals you order, the cheaper per meal, but even their cheaper option, one of their cheaper options, which is $12 a meal. If you think about the cost of ingredients required to make that type of meal and the fact that you can't really make it in a single serving you're not going to buy like one chicken breast and like one serving of Brussels sprouts. So you'd be making multiple meals. So if you home cook multiple meals, what I'm getting at is the cost difference between actually grocery shopping and making it yourself versus having this delivered is actually smaller than I think most people would imagine, which makes it more appealing.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not bullshitting you. Like I spoke very bluntly about the first company and I didn't like it at all. And this company is just really, really, it's like it tastes fresh.
If we spent 5 minutes talking about this and you were BSing us and I ordered this and it wasn't good, I'd be very upset.
Dude, and that would be worthwhile. I would understand that. But I mean,
yeah, we know you're not BSing us.
Let me know what you think. But first, I sort of want you to try the other company first to have context, right? So you can be like,
good.
oh, okay,
I don't want the
so
bad
here's
company.
the first. Yeah, I know.
I understand. I'll pretend I just ate a bad meal and then I'll have this one. And
Okay, good.
I got you.
Good.
Expectations versus reality. Cool. I like it. It's also a good way compared to, fast food, for example, even like a fast casual, which can be reasonably healthy. This is a good way to get more micronutrients in. You're getting Brussels sprouts, you're getting sweet potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be in a big city to be getting those in a fast casual setting, which is one of the things I love about New York is around every corner you have, cooked carrots and sweet potatoes and grilled chicken, and you can put that into a bowl. It's going to cost you $20, but you can at least get that if you want to. I can't get that in, a 200-mile radius where I live now.
You love New York.
I love that aspect of it. I don't love many other parts of that city. You love New York. You love it there.
No,
you walk around barefoot.
You love New York.
You did grounding in Manhattan, like literally on top of garbage and like human feces. You were earthing. And you put it on your story.
Oh, man. Yeah, that was bad.
Should we fire up some questions?
Does it really matter if I have coffee before I eat in the morning? No. This is a huge thing right now. I don't know if you know about this, Mike, because you're not really on social media. Do you know about this?
I do, because it was Chris Williamson's main pitch for the electrolyte he promotes on his podcast was that caffeine is an adenosine blocker and that you actually want to have salt for your first 90 minutes of the day and that you shouldn't actually have caffeine until after 90 minutes after the time you've woken up, which I tried for, I think, one day and just ruined the joy of the morning. Like having even a few sips of coffee, just a tradition upon waking up for me personally. So my personal opinion is you can drink coffee Not whenever you want to, but you don't have to wait 90 minutes to drink coffee. And there's something to be said about over optimizing your life, right? You can do some things not because they have 400 RCTs backing them up, but just because you enjoy doing them, right? And drinking coffee when I wake up, for me personally, is one of those things.
I can't stand these like life optimization. Okay, you need to wake up at this time to make sure your circadian rhythms are all good. And then you need to have this type of thing in order to block this and this type of thing to integrate that. And then you need to, it's like, I would love, Candid Camera. You're on Candid Camera. You know that shit? I would love to watch some of these like life optimization people be on a Candid Camera so that we could see what they actually do. Like, what does their life actually look like? There's no fucking way that, number one, that they're doing all this stuff. And you have to remember, if they're doing all this stuff, if they do all of these health optimization things that they're and it takes up a pretty significant portion of their life, that means they are not optimal in other areas of their life, because there has to be give and take. And if they're spending so much time doing this like life optimization shit, then it means they're neglecting other things in their life. I can't fucking stand how the only, why this happens? I'll tell you what. The only reason this stuff is so big on social media, YouTube, Instagram, why these posts are being made, is because people are looking for something unique to say to go viral. It's like their main goal is to go viral. Their main goal is not to help. Their main goal is to go viral and get a lot of views because it gets their sponsors, because it drives more followers, which can get them more money. Their main goal is more followers, more money. What can I say to make that happen? That's the goal. And when your goal is to help people, it's hard to compute that someone else's goal would be different than yours. And so like this whole concept of don't have coffee before, like for the first 90 minutes, it didn't stem from someone actually wanting to help people. It stemmed from someone being like, what can I say that people haven't heard before that is going to get a lot of people talking? And then people hear that, and then people who actually do want to help people hear it because they trust the person who said it, and then they start spewing it, thinking that it's actually true. And then it proliferates like fucking cancer. And it just, then all these people think that this is true, and this is how misinformation spreads rapidly fast on social media. And the whole concept is like, yeah, it spikes your cortisol, da da da. It's people who don't know how to spell cortisol. They don't know the function of cortisol. They don't know what it does. The only thing they know about it is that it's the stress hormone. That's literally all they know about cortisol. All of a sudden are now trying to prevent spikes in cortisol. It's like, shut the fuck up. Coffee in the morning is totally fine.
I like it. I like it a lot. Good rant. I would say even I agree that there is a ton of that going on. I'd be willing to concede that there is good science to support the fact that there are benefits to delaying your coffee. And that still doesn't mean, even if let's just pretend that's true, that still doesn't mean that you have to delay your coffee, right? That's like, if that's true, it's like the 900,000th most important thing that you need to be doing. And focusing on things 1 through 5 to start rather than on thing 900,000 is a much better approach, especially if you enjoy drinking coffee first thing in the morning. Not to mention the benefits of drinking coffee first thing in the morning. If you want to lose body fat, appetite is let's say you're overweight or obese, which is a significant percentage of the population. One tool that's been very, very effective for many of my clients, your clients, many people in the world, is drinking caffeine and pushing their first meal back, not doing any sort of crazy fasting schedule, but just not having that first meal of the day, those first calories of the day, until an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours after waking up. That can be very effective. It extends the 8 hours of fasting that you're sleeping, maybe an hour or two before bed, and then a couple hours when you wake up. It makes it easier to limit total calories. And it's easier if you have 100 milligrams or 120 milligrams or 150 milligrams of caffeine via a delicious cup of coffee first thing in the morning when you wake up, while you scroll on your phone, hang out with your kids, get them breakfast, do some work, whatever it is.
Dude, Yes. And you hit on such a good point where it's like there might be some science showing that there's benefits to delaying it, but there's also science showing that depending on the goal, there are benefits to not delaying it. Like there are pros and cons. So there are probably pros to delaying it, and there are pros to not delaying it. And you've got to decide which one is right for you. But for this just blanket fear mongering of you shouldn't ever have it within the first 90 minutes, or you shouldn't have it on an empty stomach or whatever, it's like, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, it's just so obnoxious.
By the way, I think it's the best on an empty stomach.
Oh, yeah.
I almost don't like coffee after breakfast, or not nearly as much as I do before breakfast.
No, I get a way better caffeine stimulant
Yeah.
effect on an empty stomach.
Yeah, absolutely.
The next question was influencer taking steroids, saying it's for optimal hormone levels / health, ... Thoughts? There's many ways you can go with this one.
The majority of influencers who take steroids are doing it because it's going to make them more money.
Yes. Yeah.
And so if they want to wrap this up, you know who's actually a good example of this? What's that kid's name? This European kid. No, I actually give him a lot of credit because he became self-aware. He's in that like kind of Rob Lipset crew of YouTube guys. He's an interesting name. Marjuan. I'm going to look it up because that's not
I know who it is. I
You know
like
who I'm talking
Rob.
about?
I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah. But
So
I like
this-
Rob. I don't know the other guy, but I like Rob a lot.
So this kid, this is a few years back, basically was natural and very lean and working super hard on his business and growing his brand, and was also having a lot of fun, kind of partying or not optimizing sleep, living his life basically between business and socializing, social life, nightlife, whatever. He was in a position where his testosterone levels were very low. He was extremely lean. He wasn't getting enough sleep. His nutrition wasn't dialed in. So his T levels were low. And so he got on testosterone to optimize his levels and ended up regretting it and made some YouTube videos about, I'll find his YouTube and we'll throw a link to the video in the show notes, but made some videos about how he regretted that decision. I think that's a great example of someone who's honest and self-aware about the position they were in and then took a step back from it rather than just leaning harder into it. And I see this all the time in non-influencers as well, which is guys who are living very suboptimally, right? Like not training consistently, not getting enough sleep, vaping, drinking tons of alcohol, not eating a nutritionally dense diet, like just not doing any of the right things, carrying excess body fat, and then get their testosterone levels checked and realize they're low. And step number one is, I better get on 200 mgs of test a week. It's like, well, step number one might be sleeping 7.5 hours instead of 4 hours a night. Step number one might be having 0 to 5 drinks a week instead of 30 to 40 drinks a week. There are all these steps that you can take to quote unquote optimize your testosterone levels that aren't injecting testosterone. So there's a handful of scatterbrained thoughts about the question.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important, especially for consumers, to be aware of it. And the way that this woman, like influencer taking steroids, saying it's for optimal hormone levels / health thoughts. I think that there's an argument to be made, or not an argument to be made. It's not even an argument. I think it's clear that some people need hormone replacement therapy for their health. I think they do. I think some men do really, like, they need
25-year-olds?
No. I mean, not most 25-year-olds.
No,
that's for sure.
A rounding error to 0 25-year-olds.
Correct. But maybe from like 40 on, and 40 is pretty young still for whatever it's worth. But I would say from like 40 on, probably 50 up. But generally, we could say 40 on. And there are outliers in their 20s and 30s, but very rarely, where it's important. In the same way that women can get on hormone replacement therapy for It's funny, like we were talking the mentorship, they're like double standards. One of them is in reverse is how it's like a double, like women will get on hormone replacement therapy and it's like doctors don't bat an eye at it. It's not an issue, but an older guy who has serious testosterone issues, like, is having trouble finding a way to get testosterone because of the cultural views of testosterone, judgments by it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are men who need it to optimize their health. But what you said, I think, is the most accurate perspective, which is, especially when we're talking about like influencers, most influencers are not doing it for their health and hormone optimization. They're doing it because they want an insane physique that will, number one, boost their own ego, that will fuel their minimize their own insecurities, which many influencers have severe body dysmorphia and insecurities around how they look, especially when they're comparing themselves to other influencers who are also on steroids, which fuels them to take more and more and more and more. And then also, as a byproduct of getting a crazy physique, also making more money, more sponsorships, more views. I mean, there's no question that you could have two influencers making the exact same educational content, but one of them has a physique that's just fucking outrageous. That influencer will inherently get more views, just simply because, oh my God, that's a crazy physique that they have. So there are monetary benefits and social proof benefits that come from that. I just think it's also worthwhile to know, I'm not talking about from the influencer perspective. I'm talking more from like your neighbor down the street, 55 years old.
55 is
actually legitimately need it, and for like don't judge them based on like maybe they actually need it. Whereas someone who's an influencer who's like, they look like they've been roided out their whole fucking life and they like got traps to their ears and like they're like 4%, 6% body fat year round and like, yeah, I'm just on TRT. It's like, no, all right, come on. That's different. We're talking about just the average everyday individual there. It's worth noting that it can be used from a health optimization perspective.
Yes. With older individuals generally, and basically always, like you said, over, I think 55, guy who lives down the street is a great example. I will still say that usually 55-year-old down the street is not doing the right things to optimize his testosterone before he starts on it. He'd be better off making those lifestyle changes to the effect that, or to the degree that he can before getting on. But yes, there are people who it does benefit them. But again, that's not even optimization. That's, I have done everything I can. I'm aging. I'm on the low end of normal or below the normal range, and I want to get into the middle or upper middle part of the range. Completely legitimate usage. When I hear influencer who's optimizing and saying he's optimizing, that isn't where my mind goes.
No.
What I love that you brought up was the insecure part, because I address the business side of things, but not the personal side of things. The reason why I have never used steroids, despite being tempted and despite seeing people who were on and being like, man, I would love to look like that, is because I am fortunate enough, for whatever reason, to be able to see the hedonic adaptation that would take place if I started. If I would have started when I was 30 and like thought about it, starting 150 milligrams of test a week just to get a little bit higher, and saw some boost in my physique, I know myself. I know my addictive personality. I know how hedonic adaptation works. I know that when you have a Nissan and then you buy a Ferrari, a month later, your Ferrari feels like your Nissan, and then you need a better car, and then you need the Huron or the Euron, or I don't know, Rolls Royce, whatever. Like when you have the $500,000 house and your neighbor has this, then you want the 750, then you want 1.5 million. Once you have that, oh, this person has this. This is how life works. Okay. And so I know that if I started on small dose of test, that would become my new normal very quickly. And I'd be like, what else can I do? What? Oh, I can go higher test. Oh, what else can I do? Oh, I can do a cycle. What does a cycle mean? Oh, yeah, I'd probably hire someone. You take this compound. You take this compound. Oh, cool. On top of the test, great. I do that. Oh, I look even better. And then I come off cycle and I'm a little bit down. I'm a little depressed. I don't feel as good. I'm like, oh, next cycle, I'm really going to get after it. That would be the future. Like what I'm trying to say is that guys often start steroids because they're insecure about their body, but steroids don't fix that insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe temporarily. Yeah, they make it worse. They make it worse, and you can then become addicted to a dangerous drug if not used in the right way or used in too high of dosages. So, yeah, not good.
Reminds me of Louis Simmons. I forget who he was talking about, but Louis Simmons had a quote in this. I think the movie was Bigger, Stronger, Faster. It was all about steroids. It was a really good documentary.
Yeah, with Mark Bell, right?
Yeah. Was he? Maybe he was talking about Mark Bell. Chris Bell.
Yeah.
I like both. They're both amazing. I really like them a lot. And maybe he was talking about them, but one of the people asked Louis, was like, "Hey, this guy got off steroids. Like, what do you think?" And Louis was just like, "He'll be back on." and the guy's like, "What do you mean he got off?" He's like, "No. Once you go on, you might go off for a period, but you're always going to come back. It's just like once you feel what it's like to have this super physiological amount of testosterone that allows you to build muscle easier, get stronger easier, have more vitality, have more energy. And then you see the results that come from it. And you see not just the results personally, but then you get people asking you about it. How do you do this? How do you do that? Like everything that comes from it, it's just like, why would you ever get off this super juice? Like, why would you ever stop taking it? Ever. Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, you see so many lives ruined because of it. They just keep taking more. They keep taking more. It's never enough. And there's always someone bigger. There's always someone stronger. There's always someone leaner. Always. And even, I really respect Phil Heath. He came out within the last few months, and Phil Heath is like arguably the greatest bodybuilder of all time. And he made a whole video. He's like, I've got really bad body dysmorphia. And this guy, like, he sat in his car and he said, not only do I have really bad body dysmorphia, he's like, it's gotten really bad over the last 2 years during like arguably the pinnacle of his career as a physique competitor. It's like, it's crazy. It's crazy. And so, yeah, I think you're 100% right. The discussion around the hedonic adaptation. And I definitely struggle with that for sure. I think we all do to some degree. But to be self-aware like that and to understand that is super important. And I think it's separate. I'm glad this person who asked the question made the note of like, this is the influencer. You have to separate the influencer from the average everyday person. Again, the 55-year-old dude who might actually need it. And I'm not saying that some influencers might not need it. There could be that 55-year-old influencer who actually potentially needs it, but that's not the norm.
Correct. When I think of influencer, this is incorrect, but I don't think of a 55-year-old. Whereas nowadays there are plenty of them. So maybe I should, gosh. But I think of fitness influencer combined with steroid as like in your 20s. By the way, Dante Trudell, is his first name Dante? Made an Instagram post a little while back.
You love his Instagram.
I do pop on his Instagram.
you know what? His Instagram.
I must.
I think you reference his Instagram more than anyone else's Instagram to me.
Do you know why? I think you're right. And he posts, shout out Dante if you're listening. But he posts like it's 2013 on Instagram, kind of. Right? Like I love really long captions that go into comments, but I love the information. And because I don't scroll on Instagram, I'll go on Instagram to check the Personal Trainer podcast. And then I'll get one post, like the first one when I open Instagram before I go to search to go to Personal Trainer podcast. And he doesn't post very much, I don't think. But when I see his, I'm always like, man, this is good stuff. And basically he listed a list of, I don't even know how many names, 50, 60, it might have been even more names of bodybuilders over the last several years who have died before their time.
A huge list. You sent me it. You're like, dude, look, it was like a huge list. And it was just for the last few years.
Yeah.
And
it was he even admitted, he's like, this is just the number I can think of right now who I know off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I know we talk about this every time this time of year comes, but the last couple of days, the weather has been amazing here. Get that hint of fall in the air. late August.
Oh, I thought you said it was dreary today.
Yesterday and the day before, and the sun just popped out, so it made me think of yesterday.
Yeah, fall time in that area is really nice.
Yeah.
Do you go apple picking?
Yeah.
Why do you say it like that?
Last year, we were scheduled to go apple picking as a family with, everyone, my sisters, my nephew, everyone went. And it was immediately after the Vikings-Chargers game. And it was week 3. And Kirk threw for like 370 yards, 3 touchdowns. We ended up losing 28-24. Keenan Allen had like 20 receptions for 200 plus yards, just lit us up. And it made us go 0-3. So we lost week 1 to the Bucs. Eagles on Monday Night Football. We lost week 2 on this like Justin Jefferson fumbled at the goal line, went out of the end zone, touchback, weird rule. So then we lose to the Chargers. We're 0-3. The season's basically over. And it was on like a last minute play that we lost. And my wife's like, all right, game's over. Let's go. And I was in the worst mood ever. I'm like, so I drive us to apple picking. We meet up. Family's all there already. And basically, like, the way that we reflect back on that day was that my dad and I were both in very bad moods for apple picking. Because my brother-in-law, like, pulls it together like a champ and whatever. And so this year, we were just having a pool day, and we were picking a date for apple picking this fall. And I don't know if it was my mom who threw out the idea, was like, let's do it on a Saturday instead of a Sunday this year. And I was like, great idea, Mom. And we all had a good laugh about that.
When you and your dad are like equally mad about the Vikings and you're out apple picking, are you two like talking to each other pissed about it? Or are you both just silent and angry?
A mix. I think it started both silent and angry. And then when we both started warming, and yeah, I think he was probably equally when I arrived there, we were both equally mad. I think my mom was like, yeah, Dad's not happy about the game either, basically. But eventually, you pull it together for family event. But I just remember showing up and being like, this is brutal. It was like, season's over. He's like, season's over. That's it.
And all your wives are like, let's go apple picking. This is great.
Go.
And you're like, season's fucking over. This is ruined. Was this immediately after the game on a Sunday?
Minutes after. It was like 3:00 Central Time, out the door, there at 3:15. Like, yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely go on a Saturday. Go on a Saturday.
We're going on a Saturday this year.
But apple picking, aside from that, is great. It's super fun.
You know what else is fun? The NFL. I'm very excited for football this year. The idea of apple picking is really fun. I like it for a few minutes, and then it's...
Really?
Yeah, man.
Dude, I love apple picking. I'm like, I really enjoy climbing the trees. I like just like jumping around. I enjoy being out there, and it's fun. I think I enjoy it even more now that I live in a place that doesn't really have it, because a lot of people here in Texas, like, they don't even know about apple picking. And I'm sure someone's going to be like, I live in Texas and we have it. But like, all the people that I talk to have never heard of it. It's not really a thing, at least in the people that I know. So like, I want to go back to the Northeast just to do apple picking. It was so fun. And the apple cider donuts and the apple cider, and it's
food's good. The food's good. Man, I miss bulking. It was great. You could just apple cider donuts. I'm just kidding. The place we went did have this area where you paid a few dollars and you would get 5 or 10 apples, and you loaded them in this like machine gun type of contraption. And basically you drop the apple in, aimed it, and then there's this big open field that had, like a steel barrel and things that if you hit the apple on it makes like a huge noise. Basically all these targets, and you point this giant gun, you load the apple in, hit the button, and it launches the apple. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Uh-huh. That's when moods shifted.
All right, well, that's awesome. Oh, you guys did that after the game?
Yeah.
Got the aggression out?
Yeah.
Is it easy to hit the targets?
Not that easy. They're pretty far away, and there's a little curve depends on the size of the apple. It wasn't that easy.
How many yards about? Are they like 100 yards?
50?
Oh, wow. Wow, yeah, that's far.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, I hadn't either.
What would you say to family who are very overweight and getting bigger and kids are also affected?
It's a tough conversation. Why are you laughing, Jordan?
Just the way you said that. Well, that's a tough conversation you got in front of you.
It's different for us because we're professionals. And so the conversation comes differently from us. And it depends on your relationship with the individual. I never sit down family members and give them real serious, you need to change your life talks. So if I do it once every 20 years, it might land better than if you're trying to inflict change on someone on a regular basis. There's also you might already know this, but the person who asked the question, but that family member probably knows, is aware of what's going on and wants to be doing better and wants to look and feel better, wants to lose some weight, wants to build better habits, is probably trying in some way based on where they're at right now. And so whether or not a conversation will help, a conversation won't necessarily always help.
Yeah. It's really tough for that reason and so many more. It depends on, I would say from the kids' perspective, it depends if they're your kids or not.
If this is a spouse and your kids type of scenario?
Yeah, if this is a spouse and your kids, then I would say it's your responsibility to do what you need to do to make sure that those kids are healthy and and living healthy lifestyles and not just physically but mentally, emotionally, all of that. I think that would be really, really important. If it's not your kids, now it's not your place. If it's not your kids, it's not your place type of a thing, which can be really tough.
Even let's say it's a sibling, and so it's your nieces and nephews
and nieces. Yeah. Here's what I would say, and sort of going off what you said. And my family has historically struggled with their health and fitness my entire life. So for whatever it's worth, coming from someone whose family has struggled with this my entire life and often their whole life, I've never had success with family when I initiate the conversation with them, even when I've been a professional and I've done it in a way that is very intelligent and science-based. I've never had success when I initiated it. I've only had success when they initiated it. And this includes my brother who initiated it with me. He lost 150 pounds. My mom, she's lost 50 pounds. It always had to come from them. The unfortunate part of this, a lot of time passed before that happened.
How do you make yourself available for that conversation without initiating the conversation?
There will be times where there would have been times where they would have made comments about it, whether it was about me or about them in relation to their health. There's it comes up, oh yeah, I'm trying to do this, or oh, I need to do that. Well, I'll tell you what, if you ever want help, I'm always here. I'll tell you what, if there's anything I can help with, whether it's designing a workout program, a nutrition plan, giving you exercises, anything you need, if it's referring you to a different coach because you don't want to work with me, I'm here. And always, 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 or if they had a question randomly, hey, what do you think about this food? Oh, that's a great question. I'll give you my thoughts on it. And if you have any more questions, if you ever want it, I'm always here to help. It's always, 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 anytime they ask or anytime they bring it up, letting them know whenever you want, I'm always here. The difficult part of this is knowing that that's, number one, you don't know when or if it's going to happen. And number two is a lot of time will often pass before it does happen, if it does happen. For literally over a decade for my brother and my mom before they ever came to me as a professional. And so what?
I have an idea.
Yeah, go for it.
You do this. We can cut this out if you want to.
No, we won't cut it out. What?
But this is like an ultimate Jordan move that works that I've adopted.
Okay.
When you want someone to hear a message, but you are afraid that the message won't land if you like say it directly to them. Mm-hmm. When it comes up in a group setting and they're there, but you direct it at someone else so that they hear the conversation, but they don't feel like attacked by it or they don't get defensive, that can be very effective.
Yeah, that is one of my ultimate moves. I do that very frequently. Like if I'm in a group setting with them there, if I'm in a group setting with them there and that topic comes up, I will give the message that they need speaking to someone else in that group. And it has worked phenomenally well in the past. So that is another, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. And again, it's difficult. And if it's like one of your brothers with your nephews and nieces, again, I think one of the best things you can do for your nephews and nieces, and generally nephews and nieces love their aunts and uncles as long as their aunts and uncles are cool. Like it's always fun to be like the fun uncle or the fun aunt. And like oftentimes kids will want to emulate that uncle or that aunt. And so if when you go over there, all you have to do is just live your life, live your healthy life. Yeah, I'm going to get up early. I'm going to go on a walk. Why don't you come with me? Come on a walk. Or it's like, yeah, like I always make sure I have fruits and vegetables with my meal. Always, of course, makes me feel great. I always do this. And then like at the very least, the kids are seeing what this style of life looks like and knowing that their life isn't the only life. And I think as kids it's one of the most difficult parts of being a kid is you only know what you're brought up with. And until you get out of the house and see how other people live and how other people experience life, you didn't realize there was anything else. So to sort of bring that into their home and to bring that reality to your nephews and nieces without pushing it on them, without saying like, hey, you don't listen to your parents, just live your life. And if they don't have the food that you want in their house, bring it yourself. Yeah, I brought my own food, of course. Like this is the food that I really enjoy. It makes me feel good. Like whatever it is, like show them that. Like include them within that without being pushy. And that's how I would go about it.
Great episode. Mentorship Q&A done. Podcast done. Highly effective Thursday.
Gonna go get my workout in. Thank you everyone for listening. Please leave a 5-star review on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you are. It means the world to us. It helps the podcast out a lot. Had a big burp there. I apologize. If you want to join the mentorship, we have a link in the show notes. If you want to build your online coaching business, if you want to be able to reach people all over the world and also improve your systems, learn how to coach people efficiently and safely and effectively to build your own business and support your own family while also providing a wonderful service to others who need it, join the mentorship. Link is in the show notes. That's all I've got to say. What about you, Mike?
Couldn't have said it any better myself. Have a great week. Weekly uploads. We'll see you next Tuesday. Have a good one. Goodbye.